Hello and welcome to the 235th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Brucker and I'm coming to you live here from Casa de Brucker today with a very special episode. We're going to start calling this What's on Tap. So you probably wonder, with someone like myself who tastes a lot of different beers and drinks a lot of different beers, what does he have on tap? Well, today, for the holidays, I do have the St. Bernardus Abt 12 on tap, which is what we're going to be sampling today. And I just poured this right before we started, so we could make sure we still had a nice fresh head on the beer, okay? Now you'll see the St. Bernardus Abt 12 is a Belgian style quad. It's rated 99 out of 100, which makes it a world-class beer. We've actually reviewed it before, but we've never reviewed it on tap. So I thought that we would do that today. The beer clocks in at 10% alcohol by volume, so it's nothing to mess around with. And it is every bit as delicious as it sounds. This beer is rated the number 3 Belgian Quad in the world. Number 1 would be the West-Berletten, which I'll tell you a little bit about that because St. Bernardus used to actually brew the West-Berletten Trappist Ale. They did it from 1946 until 1992. But because they weren't not supervised by the monastery any longer, they could no longer be considered a Trappist beer. So anyway, we'll get a little bit more into that and all of that. But let's go ahead and smell this and we'll talk about it, okay? So when I smell this beer, I get a sweetness from the malts, and it's almost like it smells like dark fruit type of smell, but you're definitely getting some dark malts in that smell. But there's that sweetness. It almost smells like plums, raisins. I don't know what it is, but it's just absolutely a wonderful smell. Oh yeah, it's very good. And you're smelling that great Belgian yeast. That's what makes a great Belgian beer. We've talked about this before, is the quality yeast that they use in it. And every one of the Belgian breweries have their own kind of staple of yeast, but I think that because they're using their original recipe that dates back to, I think, 1946, this is the same yeast then I would assume that they use in the West-Berletten, which is the number 1. Number 2 would be the Trappist Rochefort 10, which is another outstanding beer, which we have done a beer issues on before. Absolutely phenomenal beer, but this is just a world-class beer, and I love it, okay? So let's waste no time. I'm gonna just dig right on into this one here. It's phenomenal. So, to me, this is probably, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's my favorite Belgian Quad, but I do love the Trappist Rochefort number 10. But on tap, this is just, when you're pouring a draft here at the house, it is just phenomenal. And I've always been one who prefers to have a beer out of a keg versus having it in a bottle. I think sometimes in the bottle you're not getting necessarily a full picture of the beer like you do when you drink it out of a keg. They always say the larger the vessel, the better. So, if you get a small bottle of a beer and you pour it, it's good. But if you get a bomber, you're going to get a better quality. But if you're drinking it out of a keg, you're going to get the best. I don't know why that is, but I've read it, and I've actually tried beers where I had the small beer and then the bigger beer, and it made a big difference in the quality of the beer. So I'm a firm believer in that. And this is delicious. You get You're getting the malts like caramel malt, maybe a little bit of chocolate malt in there, probably not too much. There's a taste just like that smell of like the dark fruits. Wow, it's just spectacular, and I'm just so excited to have this. I try and treat myself once a year around the holidays, and well, I usually get some kind of what I call the Christmas keg. And I haven't had the Christmas keg over the last couple of years because of the COVID situation. So I'm very excited to be back to having a really nice Belgian beer. We've had some good substitutes in the meantime, don't get me wrong. But I've gone through the Scaldus Noel, which I've had before on a couple of years for the holidays. But this time, I decided to go with St. Bernardus because they're one of my favorites. I love the St. Bernardus Christmas Ale. As a matter of fact, that's what I ordered when I ordered this keg. And they sent me the St. Bernardus Abt 12. In reality, I wasn't really upset, although I do like to have a Christmas keg or a Christmas ale for the Christmas holiday seasons. But truth be told, the St. Bernardus Abt 12 is actually ranked higher. I think is the number 3 quad in the world, and I think the St. Bernardus Christmas Ale is like number 11. So it's not really that big of a difference, but I wasn't gonna not take the keg because it was sitting there and it just looks so beautiful. Now, it's been a while since we did this, and you probably don't remember what Abt 12 means, okay? Abt 12 just means in a monastery, it means it's the strongest beer that they make. And ABT is kind of like ABV. So when we talk about it's a 10% ABV, that's 10% alcohol by volume. The same thing with ABT, okay? And I think the reason that they still call this the Abt 12 is because I think at one point it was 12% in a previous, and I think that over the years, it changed, but they kept that Abt 12. But it means two things. Abt, it means it's the same as ABV, and it also means it's in a monastery the strongest beer that they make. So if they just say ABT, you just know it's that monastery's strongest beer. Okay, so it's a little known fact. And like I said, St. Bernardus actually brewed the West Verletten, which is the number 1 rated Belgian quad in the world from 1946 to 1992. So that's kind of a big deal. And they used to have the monk on the front of the bottle wearing a proper monk's cap, and they, over time, when they kind of split off, they had to remove because they're not considered a Trappist ale, even though they make the same exact recipe. It's just that it's not a nonprofit anymore, and it's not supervised by the monks from the monastery. Okay, so that's the difference between a non-Trappist, even though it's a Trappist style. It's just not considered Trappist. So that solves the mystery of St. Bernardus for everybody here. Oh, what a phenomenal beer. So I'm gonna sit back and enjoy this. And if you enjoyed this, and make sure you tell all your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having talking about great beer and drinking great beer. If they want any cool Beer Issues gear like hats, t-shirts, phone cases, anything like that, go to shop.beerissues.com. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.